If you hold an approved H-1B petition and you need to travel outside the United States and return, or if you are a new H-1B worker who needs your visa stamp before you can enter the country for the first time, there is critical news you need to hear right now. Visa stamping appointment slots at U.S. consulates and embassies around the world have been notoriously difficult to obtain for the past several years, with wait times in some countries stretching to many months and, in a few cases, to over a year. That situation has been a source of enormous professional and personal stress for H-1B workers and their families, causing people to miss important career opportunities, to be separated from spouses and children, and to make stressful decisions about whether to travel at all given the uncertainty of being able to get a stamping appointment in time to return to work. Today, we are bringing you an important update on the availability of H-1B visa stamping appointment slots for March and April of 2026 going into 2027, and the news in some locations is significantly better than what many applicants have been experiencing in recent years. If you are an H-1B holder planning international travel or a new H-1B worker preparing for your first entry into the United States, stay with us because the details we are about to cover could determine how you plan the next several months of your professional and personal life. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to U.S. Benefits Update. I am your host, Claire Hollister, and thank you so much for being here with us today. This channel covers immigration updates, government benefits, and the policy and procedural changes that affect the daily lives of workers, families, and employers across the United States and around the world. The H-1B visa program is one of the topics we cover most regularly and most thoroughly because it affects hundreds of thousands of skilled professionals, the companies that employ them, and the families that depend on the stability and opportunity that H-1B status provides. Today's focus on visa stamping appointment availability is one of the most practically immediate topics we can cover for the H-1B community because for workers who need to travel and return, the availability of a stamping appointment is not an abstract policy matter. It is the concrete, logistical reality that determines whether their travel plans are even possible. Let us get right into everything you need to know. Here is the update that is generating significant attention in the H-1B and broader skilled worker immigration community. The State Department's visa appointment scheduling systems at multiple U.S. embassies and consulates have been showing improved availability for non-immigrant visa interview appointments, including H-1B visa stamping appointments, in the March through April 2026 timeframe, with booking windows that are extending into 2027 as well. This improvement in availability is particularly notable in some of the highest demand locations, including consulates in India, which has historically been among the most difficult locations in the world to secure a timely H-1B visa appointment given the enormous volume of H-1B applicants who are Indian nationals. The State Department has been implementing measures to address the chronic appointment shortage that developed during and after the COVID-19 pandemic period, when consular operations were severely disrupted and backlogs accumulated to historic levels. Those measures include increasing staffing at high-volume consular posts, expanding appointment release schedules, and in some locations introducing new appointment release patterns that give applicants more advance notice and more flexibility in scheduling. The result in the current moment is that applicants who are monitoring appointment availability through the official scheduling system at ustraveldocs.com or through their country's specific State Department scheduling portal are finding more appointment slots available, particularly in the March and April 2026 window. It is important to be precise and honest about what improved availability means in practice, because the situation varies significantly by location and by the specific consulate or embassy involved. Some posts that were previously showing appointment waits of 6 months to a year are now showing availability within 2 to 4 months. Other posts, particularly in India at the highest volume consulates like Mumbai and Chennai, continue to show significant backlog even with the improvements. The picture is better than it was at the worst point of the post-pandemic backlog, but it is not uniformly good across all locations, and applicants should check the current availability at their specific intended appointment location through the official scheduling system rather than assuming that general improvements apply to their specific situation. To fully understand the significance of this development and why visa stamping appointment availability has been such a critical issue for H-1B workers, we need to explain what visa stamping is, why it is required, and how the appointment shortage developed in the first place. This background is particularly important for viewers who are newer to the H-1B process and who may not yet have experienced the stamping requirement firsthand. An H-1B visa stamp is a physical endorsement placed in a worker's passport by a U.S. consulate or embassy that authorizes the worker to travel to a U.S. port of entry and request admission in H-1B status. It is important to understand that the H-1B visa stamp is distinct from the H-1B approval notice, which is the document that USCIS issues when it approves an H-1B petition. A worker can have an approved H-1B petition but no visa stamp, and a worker can have a visa stamp that is expired while still being authorized to work in H-1B status. The relationship between these two documents is one of the most commonly misunderstood aspects of the H-1B process. Workers who are already in the United States in H-1B status and who have never traveled outside the country do not need a visa stamp to continue working for their sponsoring employer. As long as they remain in the United States and their H-1B status is valid, the absence of a stamp or the expiration of a previous stamp does not affect their work authorization. The visa stamp only becomes necessary when a worker needs to travel outside the United States and re-enter, because the stamp is the document that allows the worker to present themselves at a port of entry and be admitted in H-1B status. Workers who travel without a valid H-1B stamp in their passport cannot be admitted in H-1B status at the border, which means they need to obtain a stamp from a U.S. consulate while they are abroad before they can return. The appointment shortage that made this such a critical issue developed primarily during the COVID-19 pandemic, when U.S. consulates and embassies around the world reduced or suspended visa interview operations due to public health restrictions. The backlog of appointments that had been pending or rescheduled from the pandemic period combined with the normal ongoing demand for new H-1B visa appointments to create a massive accumulation of unmet demand that persisted long after consular operations resumed. In some locations, particularly in India where the underlying demand for H-1B visas is enormous even in normal times, the wait times for appointments stretched to periods that made normal travel impossible for H-1B workers and their families. Workers who needed to visit aging parents, attend family events, or simply travel for personal reasons found themselves effectively trapped in the United States by the inability to obtain a timely appointment, knowing that if they left, they might not be able to return to their employer for many months. Let us now be clear about who needs to go through the H-1B visa stamping process and what the eligibility requirements are, because not every H-1B worker is in the same situation with respect to the stamping requirement. The primary group that needs H-1B visa stamping appointments is workers who are outside the United States and need a visa stamp to enter the country in H-1B status for the first time or after a trip abroad. This includes new H-1B workers who are applying for their first visa stamp in order to enter the United States to begin working under a newly approved H-1B petition. It includes existing H-1B workers who have traveled outside the United States and whose previous visa stamp has expired, requiring them to obtain a new stamp before they can re-enter. It also includes H-1B workers who have had their petition transferred to a new employer and who need a new stamp reflecting the new employer before they can travel and return. Certain H-1B workers may be eligible for visa interview waivers under specific circumstances, which means they can obtain a renewed visa stamp without appearing in person for an interview at the consulate. The State Department has expanded its interview waiver program in recent years, and workers who are renewing an H-1B visa stamp for the same employer in the same visa category and who meet other eligibility criteria may be able to apply by mail or through a Dropbox service without scheduling an in-person interview appointment. This interview waiver option significantly reduces the impact of the appointment shortage for eligible workers, and understanding whether you qualify for an interview waiver should be one of the first questions you discuss with your immigration attorney when planning international travel. H for dependents, meaning the spouses and children of H-1B workers who are in H-4 status also need visa stamps to travel internationally and return to the United States. H-4 visa appointments are typically scheduled separately from H-1B appointments, though many consulates offer the option of scheduling H-1B and H-4 family appointments together on the same day, which significantly reduces the logistical complexity for families traveling abroad together. Parents of H-1B workers who are traveling to visit their children in the United States on tourist visas are in a separate category and follow the B1/B2 visa appointment process rather than the H-1B process. Let us talk about the practical value and significance of the improved appointment availability for March and April 2026, because for H-1B workers who have been waiting to make travel plans, this window represents a genuine opportunity that needs to be acted on promptly and strategically. For H-1B workers who have been holding off on international travel because of appointment concerns, the improved availability in the March and April window creates a concrete planning horizon for trips that have been deferred. Workers who have family members they have not been able to visit, professional conferences or business meetings they have needed to attend in person, or personal reasons for travel that have been on hold can now potentially plan those trips around a stamping appointment in this window. The ability to plan ahead with some confidence about the stamping appointment component of the trip is itself enormously valuable for workers who have been living with the uncertainty of not knowing when they would next be able to travel. For new H-1B workers who are outside the United States and who need their first visa stamp to begin their employment, the improved availability in this window is even more immediately impactful, because for these workers the appointment is not just about a trip they want to take. It is the prerequisite for beginning their career in the United States. Every week of delay in obtaining a visa appointment is a week of delay in starting their job and beginning to earn income in their new position. Employers who are waiting for new H-1B hires to arrive and begin work are also affected by stamping appointment delays, and the improved availability is therefore valuable to both the worker and the employer who is planning their staffing and project timelines around the worker's expected start date. The H for EAD dimension of the stamping situation also deserves mention in terms of practical value. Many H-4 spouses of H-1B workers hold employment authorization documents that allow them to work in the United States, and the H for EAD is tied to the H-4 status. If an H-4 spouse needs to travel and obtain a new H-4 stamp, being able to do so within a reasonable time frame rather than waiting many months is important for maintaining the continuity of their work authorization and their employment. Families where both spouses are working, one on H-1B and one on H-4 EAD, have therefore been doubly affected by appointment shortages and the improved availability benefits both members of the family. The timeline for the current improved appointment availability and the practical steps for booking an appointment are the most immediately actionable aspects of everything we are covering today. And we want to make sure every viewer who needs this information has it clearly in mind. Appointment slots for March and April 2026 are available now through the State Department's scheduling systems, and the booking window for appointments extending into 2027 is also open at many posts. The key practical point about appointment scheduling is that slots open and close rapidly based on cancellations, new releases, and the volume of applicants actively monitoring the system. The appointment landscape at any given consulate can change significantly from one day to the next, and workers who are actively monitoring the scheduling system and are ready to book quickly when a slot appears are significantly more likely to secure appointments in their preferred window than workers who check the system infrequently or who are not prepared to book immediately when they see availability. The primary scheduling system for most H-1B appointments is the U.S. Travel Docs website at ustraveldocs.com, which covers India and several other high-volume countries, or the Consular Electronic Application Center at ceac.state.gov, which is used for scheduling at many other posts. Workers should confirm which scheduling system applies to the consulate where they intend to apply, as using the wrong system can result in wasted time and missed opportunities. Many immigration attorneys and immigration services firms also monitor appointment availability on behalf of clients and can assist with identifying and booking available slots. which can be particularly valuable for applicants who do not have the time to monitor the systems continuously themselves. The full visa application process for an H-1B visa involves more than just the appointment booking. Applicants must complete Form DS-160, the online non-immigrant visa application, pay the visa application fee, gather the required supporting documents including the H-1B approval notice, the labor condition application, passport photographs, and other documentation, and in many cases prepare for the consular interview itself. The preparation time for the full application package should be factored into the planning timeline, because arriving at a consular appointment without complete documentation can result in an administrative processing hold that significantly delays the issuance of the visa even after the interview has been conducted. Immigration attorneys who specialize in H-1B matters and travel planning for visa-dependent workers have been actively tracking the appointment availability situation and providing guidance to their clients based on the current landscape. Their insights provide important context for how to approach the current window of improved availability. Immigration law firms that monitor appointment availability across dozens of consular posts have reported that the improvement in the March and April 2026 window is real but uneven, and they are advising their H-1B clients to take advantage of it proactively rather than assuming that better availability will persist or expand further. These attorneys note that the appointment situation can change quickly based on factors including State Department staffing decisions, changes in application volumes, and policy shifts around interview waiver eligibility. And that workers who wait for availability to improve further may find instead that the current window closes before they have acted on it. The general advice in the H-1B legal community right now is to book the best available appointment as soon as possible rather than holding out for a more convenient date that may never materialize. Career counselors and HR professionals who work with H-1B dependent companies have noted the operational significance of the improved appointment availability for workforce planning purposes. Companies that employ significant numbers of H-1B workers who have been reluctant to authorize international travel because of stamping concerns can now begin to plan business travel, client visits, and professional development opportunities more confidently for the spring and early summer period. The practical ability to send H-1B employees on international assignments without the fear of a multi-month stranding abroad is a meaningful operational benefit that company leaders are actively factoring into their workforce planning for 2026. Let us bring this story to life through the real experiences of H-1B workers and their families, because the appointment availability situation is one of those immigration topics that has very concrete and deeply personal consequences for the people it affects. Think about a software engineer from India who has been in the United States on H-1B status for 4 years and whose visa stamp expired 2 years ago. She has been unable to travel home to see her parents, one of whom was recently diagnosed with a serious illness. Because she could not get an appointment at any Indian consulate within a time frame that would allow her to return to work without a major disruption to her career and her employer's project timelines. With the improved availability in the March and April window, she is now monitoring the scheduling system daily and has identified an appointment at the U.S. Consulate in Hyderabad that would allow her to travel to India, spend several weeks with her family during a difficult time, obtain her new visa stamp, and return to the United States to resume her work responsibilities. For her, the improved appointment availability is not a procedural convenience. It is the difference between being able to be with her family during a health crisis and being separated from them by bureaucratic barriers. Or consider a newly selected H-1B worker from a technology company who is currently living in Canada and who needs a visa stamp at the U.S. Consulate in Toronto before he can enter the United States to begin his employment on October 1st. His employer has been monitoring the appointment situation closely and has engaged an immigration attorney to track availability at multiple Canadian consular posts. With the current availability window, the attorney has identified an appointment in April that would allow him to obtain his stamp well in advance of his intended start date, giving him and his employer confidence in the start date planning and allowing both parties to make appropriate logistical arrangements for his relocation and onboarding. Without the improved availability in this window, the attorney had been prepared to explore alternative scheduling options, including appointments at consulates in other countries, which would have added significant cost and logistical complexity to an already demanding process. For H-1B families with children in school, the timing of visa stamping trips is a particularly significant practical consideration. Parents want to schedule international travel during school breaks whenever possible to minimize disruption to their children's education. And school breaks like spring break and summer vacation are therefore among the highest demand periods for stamping appointments. The improved availability in the March and April window, which aligns with spring break scheduling for many school districts, is therefore particularly valuable for families who want to time their stamping trips to coincide with periods when pulling children out of school is less disruptive. Let us close with a complete and actionable summary of everything we have covered today. H-1B visa stamping appointment slots for March and April 2026, with the booking window extending into 2027, are currently showing improved availability at multiple U.S. consulates and embassies around the world compared to the chronic shortage that has characterized the post-pandemic period. This improvement is real but uneven, with some posts showing much better availability than others. And workers should check current availability at their specific intended appointment location through the official scheduling systems at ustraveldocs.com or ceac.state.gov. Workers who are eligible for interview waivers should explore that option with their immigration attorney before booking an in-person appointment, as a successful waiver application eliminates the appointment scheduling challenge entirely. H-1B workers who have been deferring international travel due to appointment concerns should treat the current window as an actionable opportunity and should move quickly to book available slots, as appointment availability can change rapidly. Full preparation for the visa interview, including the completed DS-160 form, the visa application fee payment, and a complete set of supporting documents, should be assembled before the appointment date to minimize the risk of delays due to administrative processing. Families with H-4 dependents should explore the option of scheduling concurrent H-1B and H-4 family appointments at the same consular post on the same day to reduce the logistical complexity of the stamping process. Before we wrap up today, we want to hear from you. Are you an H-1B worker who has been struggling with visa stamping appointment availability and who is now seeing improved options in this window? Have you successfully booked an appointment for March or April 2026 and want to share your experience with our community? Do you have questions about the visa stamping process, the interview waiver option, or how to navigate the scheduling systems? Drop your questions and your experiences in the comments section below. The H-1B community in our comments section is incredibly knowledgeable and supportive, and the information shared there helps hundreds of workers navigate the same challenges you are facing. If this video gave you useful and timely information about the H-1B visa stamping situation, please give it a thumbs up right now and share it with every H-1B worker and employer in your network who needs to know about this appointment window. Subscribe to U.S. Benefits Update and turn on your notifications so you never miss a critical H-1B or immigration update. I am Claire Hollister, and thank you so much for watching today. We will see you in the very next video.